Welcome, everyone. We are recording Bruins Tape to Tape on Wednesday, September 4th. I am your host for tonight's episode, Maria from Watertown. I'm going to be joined by my co-host, Caroline with a K. We are so excited tonight. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, you can probably see why we're very excited. But for those of you who are listening to us either on Apple or Spotify, you can't see why we're very excited. And we are joined tonight by a very, very special guest who's given us some of his time, and we very much appreciate that. And I want to welcome in Billy Jaffe of our Nesson broadcast team and NHL Network. Thank you so much, Billy, for taking the time.
Are you kidding me? This is great. This has been a long time coming, since March, when you visited with us at the sporting club at the Omni Hotel by the Seaport. We had a great time there, and you talked about the new show that you were doing, and absolutely happy, thrilled to do it. I'm always happy to do these things. The problem is always for all of us is finding time, right?
Yeah.
So,
and especially during downtime, you guys work, long, hard months, a lot of time away from family, friends, time away from yourselves as well. So for you to make the time to chat with us it shows the kind of person that I knew you were. And
my pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me. This is my favorite time of year. Not even, I don't think it's, I think it's the close second is Thanksgiving week. Okay. This is my favorite time of year. It was even more favorite for me when my wife and I didn't have kids. And that doesn't sound good. I don't mean it that way. I'm talking about, but when we didn't have kids, we would always take a long vacation this time of year, because really I've got nothing from the end of August. And actually, when I was living down south in Atlanta, everywhere I go back to school, August 15th, like so early. But I have nothing going on until the third week of September. You can do a little this, but nothing really going on. So we'd always take a 10-day trip or something. It was glorious. And the weather's the best right now. The golf is the best right now, all that stuff. And it feels like it's almost hockey season. I'm not quite ready yet. I'm not. I've got another 3 to 4 weeks before I'm really ready to go, but otherwise it's great. So anyways, I'm happy. I'm thrilled to talk with you guys. I know that you're having fun doing this.
Yes.
And that's most important. And look, the more hockey talk, the better. So let's get after it.
Let's go. So before we dive into
I don't know, Maria. I don't know if he's going to sign. I don't know. I don't.
You didn't even let me get the words out of my mouth, Billy.
Well, I've basically not let her ask that question or bring it up in the last 3 or 4 recordings. I'm like, no, we just can't talk about it.
Yeah. Well, truthfully, there's still a lot of time as far as signings go, RFA signings. I know recently, I'm going to say 5 days ago, I could be wrong, Seth Jarvis signed. He was, one of the top RFAs out there as well. He signed with Carolina, got a deal done. This one seems a little bit trickier given, Jarvis is a key player of the team, just like Swayman's a key member of the Bruins, ultimate member of the Bruins. But Jarvis has had a couple of more games under his belt in different position, right? And so there's a lot more precedent there. So this is different. I've been saying all along, it's going to get done. I still think it's going to get done. I don't know when it's going to get done, but I've been asked numerous times about holdout. This is such a lame answer. The closer you get to training camp, the likelier it is, right, that there could be something. But I'm going to still say no when it's all said and done. With all that said, you can play this in a couple of weeks, and if I'm wrong, there's just another example of me being wrong.
It seems like everyone who has been, intricately in the know to some degree in this seems confident. I'm just, not that I'm not confident, I'm just wondering and curious why this wasn't the first order of business.
Who says it wasn't?
Bruins.
Who says it wasn't? I mean, there had to have been offers made. It's easy to get it done if you go and just give one side in negotiation what they want right away. And we're not privy to the discussions. I mean, it's obvious that one side's asking for more than the other side is willing to pay right now. That's just what it comes down to. Boy, if I'm not a business 101 man, I don't know who is, right? Just saying that. But it is a priority, and it has been a priority. And they want to have him signed, and I know he wants to get signed.
Yeah.
But these things are so, we see these deals on TV, like people selling these homes on all these reality shows and everything. Yeah. We all know, I mean, real estate's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always happen that way. A lot of times there's multiple back and forth and everything. And I mean, it just takes time. And Raymond from Detroit, Sider from Detroit. You want to talk about, two key elements to that team. Neither of those guys are signed.
Yeah.
And those are RFAs. And so the RFAs at this young age, they know, they've seen other people get paid coming out of their first deal. And now they're seeing the cap go up, all the stuff that you guys know.
Right.
And so they're playing that card. And then teams are saying, wait a second. We know you, we love you, we need you and want you. But if I overpay, then that's going to prohibit me from building a better team around you. But, these guys are an incredibly finite business, the players, right? Mm-hmm. They are. They're independent contractors in a very finite world. So,
and I'm usually with the players, get your money. Get your money when you can get your money. But I also would like to think that to some degree, if you're looking at that and getting your money, you want a good team around you too. You want to be able to have a competent team around you, because hopefully, ultimately, the goal is to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Right. No, you're right. Yeah. And that has to be thought about. It has to be if you're going to land the plane. Especially for a team like the Bruins. I mean, this is not a ho-hum, well, we hope to make the playoff team type of thing. This is a team that wants to go far. They haven't gone anywhere near they want to since 2019, right? They want to get back to that battle, to the ultimate battle. So I still think it's going to get done. Maybe it's just, and I'm really not the eternal optimist. Quite honestly, I'm a little bit of a.
I'm the optimist of the pair of us. I have zero concern, zero worry. It'll be fine. It'll all work out. Everybody wants this. They'll figure it out. I'm not worried.
When it's all said and done, I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, lame ass answer. The closer you get to that September 18th or whatever it is, not done, better chance it is. So anyways, great question, Maria. Way to go. Way to start. Here we go.
Thank you, Billy. See, I knew we would get off and running. And so before we go, we segue into the next question is, we know you very well as those of us who are passionate Bruins fans and watch NESN broadcasts and spend a lot of time watching NHL. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something you'd love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to learn new things as often as you like? Or was that lost in childhood? For me, I always have had a want of learning how to ice skate. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. NFL Week 1 is here, folks, and a new season means new ways to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like picking a player to score a touchdown. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. the best place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus premium on us. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Shell Network, your insight, your analysis, along with, your colleagues, Andrew Razor Raycroft and Barry Peterson and Sophia, and the folks that you work with at the NHL Network, I think is top notch. But we'd like to know, how did Billy Jaffe get to where he is now?
Luck and a little gumption, maybe. I a lot of luck. Long story short, and it's too long of a story to get into, but I fell into broadcasting going on, I think it's 24 years ago now. 1997-98 season with the Chicago Blackhawks organization. A gentleman by the name of Jim Fitzgerald took a liking to me in the sense of he met me in a I wasn't a broadcaster. I was in the food business. All right. I was in national sales for a food company. He knew that I'd played hockey. He knew that I was still playing hockey with a glorified beer league team. And I worked out with all these guys at this gym in Chicago where I lived at the time at 5:30, 6 a.m. And I thought all these guys were old at like 50 years old at the time. I was like 25, So I thought they were all old. He was maybe 55 or 6. Anyways, he took a liking to me. And he knew that he said, what do you think about doing this, our radio pregame, intermission, postgame show and this and that? I said, sure, whatever. Fast forward a few months and I got a fax at the end of the summer. Would you come in and talk to us? From the radio station general manager and the sports director. And I said, sure. Fast forward another month. I'm sitting in the then United Center. I'm sitting in there and they said, go watch the first game. And then the second game, like they said, all right, go give it a go. And I did. I just did it with the host. I was the analyst. And then things just took off from there. It was very natural for me and very comfortable. So I never had a fear of doing it. I was never, tepid on it. I really loved it right away. And next thing you know, I got opportunities with the Chicago Wolves and who did a lot of broadcasting in Chicago. And I got an opportunity with Fox Sports Detroit because they knew me from having played at University of Michigan. They used to have a thing called the CCHA game of the week when Michigan was in the CCHA. Mm-hmm. Fast forward more, really getting through the story quickly. Move on. I get an opportunity after another 2 years, Atlanta. And then from Atlanta, taking the Thrashers. And I then got some national stuff with OLN for 1 year and Versus.
Yeah, I remember Versus.
Yeah. And then I just started doing Sportsnet in Canada, blah, 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 this, that. How I got to Boston. 2011 Stanley Cup final, or Stanley Cup final ends. I'm working, covering it all for the NHL Network. And what a glorious time that was.
Oh, that was awesome.
So much fun. And at that time, Versus was in a merger, or there was a merger, actually more not a merger, a purchase. Versus was part of a deal with Comcast and whatever that was bought. So NBC Sports took over the sports network. Okay. They took Versus, and a handful of us, more than a handful, but a fair amount of us that were employed by Versus weren't then hired by NBC. That's when they brought in their own people. One of those people being Mike Milbury, who I know real well.
Mm-hmm.
I know Mike well, really like him a lot. Mike, though, came in and I didn't have my contract re-upped. My contract expired. They didn't re-up it. But what I did was I saw, well, if Mike's leaving the Boston Bruins, they're going to need an analyst.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to somebody with Nesson, who was a friend from the NHL Network, who had previously been there, a nice acquaintance that I'd worked with. And I just said, what are you guys looking to do? And I'd be interested. And he said, we hadn't even thought about that. That's interesting. He talked to the person that was making decisions then. And again, fast forward, one thing led to another. 2011-12 was my first season. I did about 24 games that year for Nesson. Yeah. And I took over. So not a former Bruin, obviously, but I was raised a Bruin fan, believe it or not, in Chicago. Legit. So coincidence and fate. Yeah. That's my grandmother is from Boston. So my mother lived here, grew up here. So that was my number one rooting affinity or affection with the Boston Bruins.
We've got some folks from the Midwest in our Discord group who are diehard Bruins fans, obviously, in spite of Chicago being the closest team for them. So they know what's right.
They do. Good for them. Good for them. Now, Chicago, I always liked. I never loved the Blackhawks the way I did about the Bruins. The Bruins, I read the sports pages every day as a kid, looking for the Bruins stats, looking for everything. And, my favorite player, hands down, Peter McNabb. My favorite player.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was one of my great moments in my career that I relished the most, was getting to meet him and become friendly with him. That's and cool. Having conversations with him. And so love Max, love Peter.
Yeah.
Love.
That's amazing.
But that's the story how I got where I mean, it's been a lot of different things. I've had a ton of fun. It's a grind, and I don't mean that in a bad way. The business is changing significantly. And I mean the grind, I'm just being honest, it's a grinded out business right now. And listen, I thoroughly enjoy doing what I do. I love the people at Nesson, and I have a great time working with them.
Well, it's a great team, and you and your partner in crime on the Morning Bru podcast, Andrew Razor Raycroft, when you mentioned, that this came to you somewhat fluidly and organically, and then you took to it and you really liked it. Razor is another one of those guys that just seems to just do it naturally and do it so well, and with no hesitation.
He works at it. You have to work at it. You can be a great player or have a 10-year NHL career, but if you're not willing to work at it, then you can only get by for, I think, 2 years or so. Like you it's great. It's awesome to be able to say, when I played, although a lot of guys don't do that, they don't, but hey, you just know certain things. But if you're out of the league for a while, you got to call players, you got to call coaches, you got to call agents, you got to find out. Not that you're looking for scoops, you're just looking for things. You're looking for information, and you also have to work it. What we do on air, and he has really done an awesome job. I'm a huge, as a person, I'm a huge fan of his, and I have a lot of respect for what he's done as a broadcaster.
And he's awesome. He's filled in on a few occasions on our local sports talk radio here on WEEI. And you would think that he had been doing the job for years. He can talk football, he can talk hockey, he can talk basketball. It's
you learn how to bullshit. It's good. It's what we all do. I once hosted the MLB on TBS when I was with the Atlanta Thrashers organization. It was a summer thing. And I said to them, hey, will you give me an opportunity to do some other things? I want to continue expanding my horizon, be able to do everything. So like, look, we're going to try the MLB on TBS. And I'm like, I'm a baseball fan, but at the time, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know the game like this. And so there's a good lesson, it was a really good lesson. And, I screwed up a name or two, and another, because we always get, a hard time to people in hockey that screw up names.
Yeah.
I did it too. But anyways, no, you got to work at it, and he has. And so I truly love working with him on the podcast. We have a great time, and all those guys. I mean, Barry to me is a legend, and and just as analysts, real lucky that we're working with guys like that. And Dale and now Sophia, very fortunate to have people that I just can't say enough good stuff about working with. It makes people say, "Oh, your job is whatever," but you got to work with people that you like in this job too.
Yeah.
Have
We
genuine
spend a lot of time with each other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games, a lot of home games.
Public. You're public. And you want to interact with them like real.
Right.
And if you don't agree, you got to be able to say I don't agree. And if you agree, and if you laugh, you know what I mean? It's like that's my philosophy. I've always said, shame on me if I'm not having fun doing what I'm doing. Right. Shame on me, because then what's the point? If I'm not having fun, why would anybody listening have fun?
Anyone around, right? And it's a good philosophy and a good approach. And now you've got, Judge Surratt, who you've, engaged with, I'm sure, numerous times, who's now a member.
I was in his wedding. He was in my
wedding.
Oh,
really? No, sir.
Yeah, he lived in our house.
Look at that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was like a basement dweller when he was at the Boston job for 9 months. Judd and I went to Michigan together.
Okay.
And Judd was the student radio play-by-play guy, and for the hockey team. And so I met him there. And then actually my senior year, when I was done playing at Michigan, I did a game with him on the air. It was a great game. It was a big brawl between Michigan and Michigan State. And we reconnected because he's a Chicago kid too. We reconnected when I fell into broadcasting. And with the Chicago Wolves, we did pretty much 2 years of work together. So no, Judd is literally, we're in each other's wedding. So
that's amazing.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. So do you have any insight into then who could potentially be replacing Judd? The radio play-by-play calls? I'm just asking. He doesn't have to answer.
What's the old saying? Stay in your lane. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. I stay in my lane, and
a girl can try, Billy. A girl can try.
Yeah, right? I stay in my lane, and I just, it's. I got a hunch that it'll come out soon, and I mean hunch. I mean it has to.
I'm sure it has to.
Yeah, analysis 101 right there. But
yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot of people that want it. I can tell you that.
Oh, I'll bet. I'm pulling for one person in particular, but I don't even know if he would have thrown his name in the hat. But I've got hopes for one guy that I think would be pretty damn good at it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to connect after the announcement's made. When the announcement's made, and you can tell me if it was what you were thinking.
Okay, we'll do that. But now let's get down to, some Boston Bruins hockey talk.
Okay. You realize that I have looked at almost nothing over the summer in a good way. But I can BS with you. Here we go.
Then we'll get your unfiltered opinion.
Yep.
Unfiltered opinion based on additions and subtractions made by the Boston Bruins in this offseason as they currently stand. What are your expectations for this team?
I expect a good team. Season? I do. I expect a good team to a very good team. Obviously, they addressed what they felt. You could tell what they felt they needed the most, both positionally and physically, which I'm all for. I do think that this would be a team. I don't think they need to worry about winning first place in the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic, again, it's really good. It's a really good division again. But if this team can really come together, and if they're on paper, I think they're more durable on paper for the playoffs, given their sheer size.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the size on the back end of the house.
Yeah, it helps. It's not the end all be all, but it sure helps, right?
Yes.
But I think, if you get some maturity or maturation from Lohrei, from Patra, that they're really integral players for this team. They don't need to be number one, unit D or top line guy, but integral players. I think it'll make a huge difference. But I also think that this is the type of team, if they're in a really good spot, they can make themselves a really tough team with some type of acquisition come trade deadline or around that. That's the way I look at it. I think that I think that this team, they're not going to surprise anybody, right? Like last year was a big surprise. Everybody thought that it was the end. And they showed that they still got some really good pieces in place.
Yeah.
This year, I think they just need to build off that. And yet I do think there's going to be some growing pains here or there with this team. But if they put it together as the year goes on, I think they could do some good stuff. I do. I think they, and I could be a 2 or 3 year type thing. I do. Meaning like if it doesn't happen this year, it's not the end. You know, right. I mean, it's not. I think they've got enough young core that they can do more.
Do you think, besides the obvious end goal being the cup, what do you think is the realistic must check this off the list of things that has to happen? Like, you know, for last year, I think we all kind of understood that they had to make it out of the first round. That was like a must happen situation. What do you think that goal is this year, the minimum goal?
Well, I don't think it's a crappy answer. There's no, I mean, you got to make it, you know, optically, you want to make it at least, you'd love 3 rounds, but at least 2, you know, make it. But so I'll go with it specifically to that 2 rounds for sure, you know, preferably 3.
Yeah.
But must see things, I think this year also to be good. I think, you know, let's start, you know, you got to see, need to see great play from Elias Lindholm up front. You know, I think, you know, he's going to have to increase his point production from last year. I don't know if I expect 100 points out of him. Can you get 70 to 80? That would be awesome. And I think you need that.
Yeah,
I do. I think you need to see another center in Charlie Coyle match what he did last year, ±5, let's say. He's got to have that type of year. Same thing for Zacha. I'm not worried about Pasternak. I'm just not. You know, I think he'll do his thing. Marchand, you know, Marshy. Another year older, but I don't know. You know, it's come out, you know, the surgeries he's had and stuff. Let's see how he is. But I think you need to see an elevation in guys like Hampus Lindholm's game.
Yes.
Mason Lowry's game, who we saw great, you know, acceleration out of it or improvement out of, but now another level out of that. And then let's see, you know, what, you know, obvious, assuming Swayman signed, you know, what are we going to get out of him? What's the number of games? Like, do you want to push 60 games? Right. You know, Jonas Korpisalo a couple of years ago was considered pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, you know, can you get him back to where he's a very competent 35 game guy, and therefore you don't need to overextend Swayman until playoff?
Yeah.
So I think you need to have that too. I don't think you want Swayman playing 62 games this year.
Yeah. No.
He's going to get paid. You know what I mean? He's going to, but you want him to play. You're paying him though for the multiple years ahead, playing 55 to 60 games. Do I want him to play that many this year? I'd love to see Korpisalo get, you know, his ship righted as well, and maybe he plays 30 to 35 games.
Yeah.
Do you think they've done enough to address secondary scoring, which seems to be a pain point?
That's what we're going to find out. That's going to, you know, I mean, so, you know, your top tier scoring, we know we start with Pasternak, okay? And he's at a level above and beyond. There, your next high level, I think, has to be Elias Lindholm, and then Marchand, right? And then Zacha and Coyle. So there you go, in not in particular order, but that level. You know, without Jake, there's some points gone.
Yeah.
Not like it's 100 points,
right?
But it's gone. It's going to be a really good question. Can Matty Poitras, can Frederick elevate that point to production to, you know, not 35 to 40, but 40 to 50, 45, 46 in there? That'd be awesome. You know, can you get that? The big question there is, you know, Fabian Lysell, and I don't know enough about his game live, right? I haven't done his game live, so I need to see a lot of that. I've seen him in preseason a little, but maybe this is the year that you can run him for 15 games and then really see what he can handle.
I have Justin Brazeau as a bit of a wild card too. Just the
wild card, absolutely.
Yeah. If you can get, 20, 25 goals out of this, I mean, this kid is a beast. He's huge and for a big kid, he can move, man. He's got some wheels.
Well, he's getting there. Yeah, his anticipation is excellent. His hockey sense is really, really good. That's what makes his footwork better. I'm sure he's worked his ass off this summer skating wise. I'm sure of it, knowing that he's got this opportunity with an NHL contract now.
Yeah.
He could be pegged in theory. I would think more like third line. I've heard about fourth line. I've heard about, could you fill him in on a right side? Sure. On like a second line. But I think ideally he's a third line winger. Look, if you're getting 25 from him, Maria, holy smokes.
I know. I could be smoking something funny today. I'm just, he just seems like if you give him the opportunity.
No, you're right. But if he does, that would be unbelievable. I would, if you get 17 to 20 in his first full year out of him, I'm singing a happy song right then. I am. I'm a big fan of the kid. He's a wonderful kid to speak with. Let's see. I mean, you want to talk about having motivation this offseason coming? There's spots there for him to fill.
Yeah.
So let's see what he does. I mean, I've got to hope and think that he's coming back fired up.
Yeah, I would think so and hope so. Once it seems to me, once you get a taste of playing with the big boys, you want to stay there.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. And his story, makes for a not just a great story, but I think that it's who he is, right? I mean, it's the kind of but type. He's great scoring at the OHL, but. Oh, yeah, okay, did it the AHL, but now, somebody's seen more than just, a little bit to say, hey, we'll give you a two-way deal now. You got your first NHL deal at 26.
Right. Yeah.
So he could have a couple of good years ahead of him.
Knowing how Monty likes to play mad scientist with the lines and all that, how much for at least the bottom six, knowing that there are still kind of some gaps, how much of a revolving door do you anticipate those bottom six, not just within the bottom six, but, some of these new guys maybe coming in and out? Because we have people, right, like Geeky and Braz, but they don't seem to be fully set in a particular spot like you think of Coyle or Marshy or Pasta, right? So what's your take on how that might go down?
Oh, I think it's going to come down to, besides the obvious health, it's going to come down to competition, and it's going to come down to perhaps what they're looking at, who they're playing. Do they need the more physical lineup? Mark Kostelic coming from Ottawa, he provides a real physical element that they could use, probably need. And does he make himself an 82 game player? Is he for the Bruins and he fills that role? Is it, Jones? The word on Mac Jones is 6'3", 2, whatever, 20, skates really, really well, wants to hit, wants to get in on things, isn't a big finisher. You can look at his numbers, but wants to be. Who doesn't, right? Everybody that plays hockey wants to be, but he's, but can he be a difference maker with his speed in a bottom six or like a 9 through 12, for the fourth line left wing? I see it probably more as a fourth line left wing. You could go through the whole lineup. I look, if you have 8 guys for 6 spots, my guess is, you're not playing Matt Patra as a fourth line center.
Right.
You're not.
Right. How is he going to develop?
Well, right. And that's not his game.
Yeah.
So you put him, if you slot him as your 3C, then you've got 1 or 2 guys for the fourth line center role. And then you've probably got more like instead of 8 guys for 6 spots, you probably got more like 7 or 5, whatever. You know what I mean? You move in and out 4 guys regularly, or move them around. But I think coaches are always looking for guys, and this is so cliche, to make the decision hard on them. Yeah, they always are. And I think that the Bruins are hoping with some of these, what I will call young veterans, Tufty, two-way, but two up and down type guy, Jones, Kostelic. I've said it 100 times differently all the time. You've got all these guys, right? I'm leaving guys out, but you know what I mean. I think these aren't 19, 20-year-old guys. These are the 24 to 26-year-old guys who have been through things, that are the young vets that are looking for maybe a second or a third chance with a different team.
Yeah.
Well, here you go.
Right.
Here you go. They're looking for them to make the decision tough on them.
Yeah.
And you're coming to a good organization that has shown that it does have a commitment to winning and to being a competitive top tier team in the NHL. If you're not incentivized by that, I'm not sure what else can get you incentivized.
Yeah.
Right.
There aren't many better places to play in the league than Boston.
Right.
That's probably tinted by, black and gold glasses right now. We're all talking about it and everything. But when you look, I've talked to so many guys, and yes, you can go down to Florida and not have income tax, and that's great. If if that's what's most important to you. And now they've won, and that's great too. So that's an awesome place to play right now, right? It's awesome. But they were crap for years. I mean, Tampa was awful for years and years. So it's cyclical. But for the most part, Boston is always an unbelievable market, in a hockey hotbed, in an area that understands, relishes. I mean, the fans are phenomenal here, education-wise. They're educated about it. So it's a hard to, if somebody says, well, I want nice weather all the time, it's not a good place for that player.
Right.
It's just not. But if you want, if you want a real hockey experience with an original 6, it's one of the best. It is. That's, and it helps that they're good most of the time.
Yeah. And this is not just coming from us because, you cover the team. You're also been a fan of the team. We're obviously fans of the team, but we hear this from other players.
Yeah.
They speak openly, either, when they've joined the team, or, when coming to the team, the culture, the market.
Well, that's the thing. If the culture wasn't good, then it wouldn't be as attractive.
Right.
Of a place to come to. It just wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, so to have really good leaders and to have success regularly. Razor always says, when on the podcast on Morning Bru, he's, when people are talking about, was a few years ago, about, trading this guy, getting a first round pick, doing this. Oh. He's like, you want to bottom out. It's not just 1 year.
Yeah.
It's not 1 year. It's years.
Right.
Plural. Hello, Chicago Blackhawks. Right.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
right.
Boy, when I started with them, how about this? When I started with them, 97, 98, that was the first year. I think it was in 28 years they didn't make the playoffs.
Wow.
And they went they went to Shitsville for a while.
Yeah.
A long time, until they got better in the mid 2000s. And then now they're trying to get back out of
right back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we want to be mindful of the time because we know you have other responsibilities and obligations. This has been awesome, Billy. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You're always so gracious when when I see you at the TD Garden, or when I call into the AT&T hockey show. So I very much appreciate that, and you giving us your time.
Absolutely.
It's my pleasure. It's fun to get to sit down and talk with both of you, and I appreciate you inviting me. And let's hope that there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. You will probably, I would assume, continue to be caller 1 or 1A on the Saturday morning show.
I'm going to continue to try and continue my
Maria once brought
tradition.
us. He actually came down to Dorchester and dropped off breakfast sandwiches for us.
No way!
Yes. We didn't even get a meter at that time. At least I wasn't there. She dropped them off, and I'm like, RJ, are these safe to eat? Am I going to be, stoned after eating one of these? Are they laced with X-Lax? Am I going to be running? But they were delicious. No,
I'm pretty trustworthy. Pretty trustworthy.
You were. You've been wonderful. We appreciate your support. We're looking forward to a great year of Morning Brew. And we're hoping to do some more stuff publicly if we can, to get out and do some things at some of our sponsor places. So all good.
The event was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. It was great.
Yeah, it was a really good time.
Yeah. And the sporting club loved having everybody there.
Oh, it was a great venue. The food was great too. So.
Was it? Yeah. They do a really nice job there. So my pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. Keep having fun. And, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Will do.
Thank you, Billy.